All right, so this is um, a holistic understanding of Gemini, or a holistic understanding or breaking down the components of Gemini. So, first off, Gemini comes out or is born out of the third house. The third house rules communication and thinking, how you analyze and break things down and push it out and communicate it into the world. So, this deals with your surroundings or your immediate things, because those are the things that you're reacting to and thinking about and communicating about. The things that are around you, or that's what's majority you be communicating around or communicating to, the things that are around you, the people and places and things that are around you. And the ruling planet of Gemini is Mercury. So Mercury is the planet of thinking and communicating. So you can understand how that goes hand in hand with the third house. And it's the masculine side of communicating. So it's pushing out, It's the masculine side of Mercury. So it's the masculine side of thinking and communicating. So these thoughts and communications aren't necessarily being internalized first always. They're being pushed out. That's how you get some of them, these Geminis that be blurting things out or be saying things. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. But yeah, the ruling planet of Mercury. Um, it has no exaltation, but it's opposed by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of experience, opportunity, expansion. Yeah. When you look at it as when you talk to someone who's experienced in a job or something like that, you see how they don't need to um, talk about it too much or break it down. That they explain things with very few words. They don't need to be all voluptuous and all of that shit. Using all a bunch of big words and shit that sound nice. They make it break it down with simple with such few words, and they probably don't even think when they're working. Autonomous. You've been out of a job for a long time. It's like you be thinking of some other shit while you be working. You be like, shit. Is she really gonna let me clap? Is this nigga really gonna give me back that $100? You be thinking about a whole bunch of other shit when you're experienced or when you've done it a long time. And that's what Jupiter is. So look at it that way, and that's why it would oppose. But opposing doesn't mean you don't have that energy, but it just means it brings special attention, because that's um what's working against you. That's what's situations in your life that's going to come up, as they're going to be follow that theme, or they're going to show you, make you develop that skill, for you to become more experienced and things like that. That's how that affects you, or you're gonna have your biggest lesson is to learn from Jupiter, because that's what's working against you. And this is what may lead Gemini's being a little naive or immature sometimes, because look, they push Jupiter, but no planet falls here. So yeah, you get that the lack of experience from Jupiter, but Gemini is mutable air. So that's its modality. It's mutable air. That's the form, shape, and form it takes place. Or that's the shape and form of the element. So it's mutable air. So when something is mutable, or when an element is mutable, it is more fluid. Okay? Um, you would have like the three states or three modalities: cardinal, fixed, mutable. Cardinal would be initiating and starting and imposing and fixed is being fixated, sustaining, and mutable is more. It's like the three states of matter: gas, solid, and liquid. Mutable would be more fluid or going with the flow. So with it being, or more scattered. So with Gemini being mutable air, these are scattered thoughts. These are thoughts that go expansive, that they're not directed or focused in a specific space. They go many different ways. And this is how you get the idea that a lot of Gemini or Gemini suns, really, because you can have Gemini or any planet can be in Gemini, or this is how you get that fuck. What was I gonna say? That's how you get that like that schizophrenic energy, or that multiple personalities, because you don't know, they be switching up, because look at the modality of air. So air is dealing with thinking and communication. That's all man. That's the space that we are in, or that's what it represents, the things that you think and communicate about. That's what really encompasses us. That's our surroundings. That's why it's ruled by the third house. That's why it's ruled by Mercury, but the masculine side, because it's always pushing this stuff out. And it being mutable, you understand that it's all scattered. So if it's always pushing out what it's communicating, what it's thinking and communicating, this is how you can get the multiple personality, because somebody can be drawn from multiple spaces. Something can make sense when they're over here, something can make sense when we're over there. So you'll get a Gemini probably when they're with you, they be agreeing and with what you're saying, and be shooting the shit, and being agreeing, and be like, yeah, and then be going with someone else and probably be agreeing with what they're saying, and even say that's your worst enemy or some shit. And they'll be over there and be like, yeah, I agree. Be playing both sides, and then Gemini may have slipped up something that you said to them, and you be looking at the Gemini all crooked, and the Gemini, like, it's like, that emoji. Is that even an emoji? Yeah, that's an emoji. What are you talking about? But that's kind of within the nature. And then there's different types of Geminis. Not every Gemini. You catch a Gemini doing that. Don't get it twisted. That is very possible, because that's the influence that's being received. But that's not the only way it can play out. Look at Kendrick. Niggas like him. He has a very broad perspective of the world. Look at the way he communicates things, and naturally you would be a rapper. Or there's probably a lot of Gemini rappers, that, because look at the rap game now, it's just about saying shit, just about saying whatever. Probably in a Gemini can literally say whatever. Because they're receiving their thoughts and communication scattered around a whole bunch of things. So you really could just say whatever, just to see people's reactions and shit like that, or how people are going to respond. That's where that energy comes from. But look at Kendrick. Kendrick's schizo. Kendrick Lamar is schizophrenic. I don't mean to offend anybody who is schizophrenic. Maybe you're a Gemini, or maybe you're born and raised in a family that's been lying to you, telling you your superpowers are false, and with that weak mentality, you can't master that superpower. But I don't know if it's like that for every case. I haven't met too many schizophrenic people. I met a couple, but those were people able to contain it. So it really is probably more about having a stronger mentality, and then it depends on how you're raised up. But that's a video on schizophrenia, not a video on Gemini. But it's related in a way. So yeah, mutable air is the modality. Is ruling planets Mercury, born out of the third house, thinking and communication, opposed by Jupiter. Yeah, that's Gemini.